What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back to the Double Dribble Podcast. Always with your host. I'm Desto.
And I'm Drew.
That's Drew, man. We back. When last time we did an episode? Maybe a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, like right in the middle of the first round. Probably like when a lot of the series were still up in the air, except for
When we still
the
had some hope.
OKC. Yeah, except for the OKC Memphis one.
Oh yeah, that one. You know what? That one ended that day.
Yeah.
That because I remember it was game 4, and we were talking about it. Yeah, that series ended that day, and man, a lot has changed since then. Timberwolves beat the Lakers in 5. Rockets and Warriors went the distance in Game 7. Warriors won that series. Clippers and Nuggets went 7. We both picked the Clippers for that series, but the Nuggets came out Game 7. Nuggets won Game 7 convincing fashion. Cavs destroyed the Heat in 4. Celtics won in 5, right? And what was the other series? Oh, Indiana beat the Bucks in 5. And
of course the Lakers, Minnesota.
Yeah, I think I said that.
Oh
yeah. And now where we are now, the Warriors and Timberwolves was supposed to be a really good series. Unfortunately, Steph Curry messed up his hamstring.
Every single year, man. Every single year, it's a narrative that we have to talk about, and it becomes more prevalent probably this past decade than it's been in the past. I would want to say. It seems like literally every year, it seems like a major player is knocked out in the playoffs that alters the course of a series or how competitive the series is actually going to be. And this year, it was Steph Curry once again going down in the playoffs. It's not the first time this happened with him. But look, it was in a situation where it seemed like the series he had with the Rockets that had a big impact on him having that hamstring pull in that first game. Like they have the whole play-in situation where they're, right when the season ends, they're right into play-in. They're right after playing, they're right into the first round against a grueling series against, you have Amen Thompson, Fred VanVleet, Dylan Brooks, kind of everybody on the Rockets just chasing you around, being physical with you every single play as you're the primary focal point of the defense. And they're bumping you. They're making it hard for you to get any clean looks. Even some of the shots he was hitting, like he was hitting some of the most contested shots I've seen him hit in a playoff series in his career.
Who are you talking about?
He wasn't Curry. Like a lot of the shots he was hitting, the shots he was hitting in that series, a lot of them were just ridiculous shots. Like he did get occasional open looks, but that was probably like for the straight 7 games, him being contested. I think like he had 3 or 4 like just really, really bad games for Curry. And of course he bounced back in Game 7, like once again in Houston, unfortunately.
Especially like the second half. Second half, he was he's going crazy.
But I don't think it was a coincidence that he had that hamstring pull right in Game 1 as they go right into another series, and that had a huge impact on this. I think did you have the Warriors win that series? You had the
Timberwolves. Before the series started, I had the Warriors in 7.
Yeah,
so I was hoping the Rockets could somehow pull it off, but I had the Rockets. I had the Warriors in 7. Yeah. So, Drew, before we go back to that, we got a special guest this episode. She says she can't be here long, but I'm gonna bring her up. One of the biggest.
I'm dead. Hey,
Taylor. I'm gonna still call her Miss Taylor.
Oh, you still can if you want to.
In the building, one of the biggest, not just women or woman sports fans I know. This is one of the biggest sports fans I know. Basketball fans I know. Real knowledgeable about the game. She loved the game, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Yes, of course.
For us. So, if you can, for like a brief second, just introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are, how you fell in love with the game, how you view the game.
Yeah. Well, I'm Taylor Turner from Houston, Mo City to be exact. Um, and I've been playing basketball my whole life, and I think, I mean, it most likely probably has to do with my dad being an NBA coach, and for my whole life, I'm 31, and he's been coaching for 27 years, so that's basically almost my whole life, and
Mm.
my mom played, my brother played. Um, Everybody just played basketball. Like we played other sports as well, but basketball was always what we like came back to. What
Mm.
we ended up just loving for sure. We might not have loved the other sports, we might not have loved soccer as much, or my brother when he played baseball, but basketball, that was always on top. hmm And it's been a journey. It's been a journey. With like my dad's still coaching, and all the ups and downs, and just being a daughter of someone who is coaching and always having to move and just get up and bounce. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, that's sweet. And I know, like you told me before about your dad. He coached. Right now he's a coach for the Timberwolves, but he's coached like other teams in the past. And when I was telling Andrew about who
Yeah,
I had coming on, he told me it's crazy how small the world is. He went to school with your brother.
with Elston. Yeah, at
Really?
Elkins High School, right?
I was
Yeah.
at
Yeah. So yeah, it's just crazy how small the world is. I was like, yeah, she was she taught when I was to Westbury, and we
hmm
just we talked about the game so much when I was there, and
hmm
even still to this day. And if I'm not mistaken, you because you went to A&M, you
hmm
went the same time as Alex Caruso,
Yeah.
or
So he played
okay,
with my brother.
yeah,
So
and I
Alex,
love Alex
Chris,
Caruso.
Chris Middleton.
Mm.
And
Oh,
then when
so
my brother was at UW, he was playing with like Isaiah Thomas, Justin Holiday.
Oh,
Um,
it's just in Washington, right?
yeah,
yeah.
before
Okay.
he transferred to Texas A&M. So he played
Mm.
with quite a few people.
That's what's
And
up. That's what's up.
Alex has
Okay,
always been.
so um, question for you. So
So
you still, if I'm not mistaken, are you still a Kings fan, or you just are you a fan of whoever your dad coaching at that time?
that part, the last one, the
So
last one
you
you
used to be a
said,
Rockets fan then too. So
ah,
okay.
ah, mm-mm. I mean,
No.
I love the love that we get still from the Toyota Center, because there's
Okay.
some people that work there that have been working there the very first time my dad coached in Houston. So back in
It was like 2009, 2010,
'07.
2008, oh 07.
hmm And there's still some
Mm.
people that are there. And so every time we go to Houston, the love is always shown. I think we get treated the best out of like all the arenas. I think we get treated the best at the Toyota Center because that
Rightfully
love is
so.
still there. But no, I'm not a Kings fan. I'm not a Rockets fan. I go wherever my dad goes, that's where I go. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen her supported at least a few teams over a few years.
You said what?
I said, yeah, I definitely seen you support
Oh yeah.
a few teams over the years.
I'm
Wait,
hoping
so
he's
who are you a fan of currently then right now?
a fan.
Yeah,
Well, I do like
who are you
KD.
pulling for? Okay, so
KD has always been my favorite player. Once he got into the league. So I did like the Seattle Supersonics because of him and Ray Allen.
Mm.
And then when KD went to OKC, I was like, okay, then well, not went to OKC, when they moved the franchise to Oklahoma City, I started liking OKC. Um, but recently, and recently as in since 2000 and 2020, and
Mm.
okay.
mhm.
Man, we'll speak on Ant. We're gonna speak on Ant
Okay.
for sure. But it's funny you mentioned the Supersonics because I was telling one of my one of our team members,
Mhm.
Andrew. He young. I think he like 19 years old. Like about the Supersonics. He was like, "What is the Supersonics?"
Oh
And
Lord.
that made me feel so. And I'm only 26, and that made me feel old. I'm like, bro, you don't know what the Supersonics.
The
Like, I'm like, bro, it was
Supersonics,
the
yes.
Thunder. It was the they became
Mhm.
the Thunder. he had no idea.
But some people
But
don't know like the history of some
yeah,
teams and where they came from, like how the Lakers used to be in Minnesota and
mm,
the Utah Jazz were somewhere else. Like,
I think in New Orleans. No,
yeah, probably because of
yeah,
Jazz.
uh-huh.
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
they used to be. You're right.
So I think that's something that people need to study. Is just
Yeah.
where did their teams come from?
Yeah, for
They need
sure.
to know that history.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
important to know the history. So, how you been feeling about the playoffs so far? Just the overall excitement.
Mhm.
about it.
Yeah, I think the playoffs are going well. There's so many just unexpected things that have happened. There's
Mhm.
been a lot of underdogs showing out.
Big
Um,
time.
a
This
lot
is
of
the underdog playoffs by far.
which
It's all lower seeds moving on.
I'm hoping that we could continue this underdog story with Minnesota. But yeah, like seeing Cleveland get knocked out, that I was like, okay, so it's doable. It's doable.
Mhm.
But honestly, I think I was most excited, and I could be biased, but with the Timberwolves and the Lakers.
Mm.
Because
Why you gotta go
first of
there?
all,
Why
we
you gotta
barely
go
made
there?
the playoffs. Barely. We had to win our last game in order
Yeah,
to not be in the play-in.
facts.
So that was already stressful. And then everybody talking about Lakers in 5, Lakers in 5. You talking about Lakers in 5.
I
And
said
so
Ant-Man, Batman,
yeah.
Superman, like
Mhm. And
Oh, it
so
was Lakers in 5. It was
to
Lakers in
shut
5.
them up. To shut them up. That made me so happy. But I like being the underdog. I like that the Timberwolves are the underdogs and we're
Mhm.
showing out and shocking the world.
Nah, big facts. And I definitely underestimated the physicality that Minnesota brought to the floor, especially compared to what the Lakers have.
Mhm.
Because I think as far as like top end talent, like our best 3 players may be more talented than the Wolves' best 3 players, but the overall depth and physicality of their team, because we had no legitimate starting center,
Yeah.
and they
Mhm.
had like 3 players on their roster that's bigger than whoever we had on the floor. They had Randall, who's been amazing so far
Mhm.
this playoffs. I got to give him his flowers
Yeah.
because previous Julius Randle with the Knicks in the playoffs.
This is the first time. The
Yeah,
first time he's ever actually showed up.
he's not just playing good. He's hooping, Drew. Like he's freaking balling.
I think
you can make an argument.
He's been better than Ant Loki.
Yeah, but
at least in the last playoff series, which is
versus Golden State, and and he's seen a lot of different defensive coverages and stuff. And Julius, he doing his thing. So I definitely still think Ant is the best player, but I mean, Drew, he's doing this thing. He been more consistent. I would say that he been
Yes.
consistently. But yeah, I mean, he balled versus the Lakers. Rudy Gobert had this Shaq-like game in Game 5.
That's the best game. That's the best game of his career. It's not even close.
Yeah, we don't start a center, and all of a sudden Rudy Gobert is prime. He's 1977 Bill Walton against us. So
I mean, it was that series was a true test of like, is it really something that you can get by with now in today's game? Was just like not really having a center, and then we see it still. We're not that point yet. We saw with the Rockets back in 2020 when we played against y'all. We did the no big thing.
Anthony Davis.
We tried to put PJ Tucker on Anthony Davis and try to make it work. We're gonna bomb threes on you guys and we're gonna outrun you. It worked for maybe a couple games. I say a couple games because we kept it interesting for like I think the first 3.
Yeah.
But it was it wasn't something that we could stand because I think AD was the best player in that series back in 2020.
For sure.
And
I would agree.
And that was because we didn't have anybody that could really match up with him. We were just, it was really a gimmick. Is that what we were going with? Our defense was very gimmicky as well. And and we saw y'all try.
Huh? PJ Tucker, he on the Knicks, right?
I don't even know where he's at right now. He hasn't played in he didn't play all this year. So I
think he's on the bench with. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's on the bench with the Knicks. I gotta confirm.
If he's on the Knicks, that's crazy because that means he actually could win a championship.
Yeah, that would be
Was he on
crazy.
New York last year?
Nah,
So-
he was on the Clippers bench.
Clippers.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure
He is on the Knicks.
Is he? That's crazy.
What if he wins? What if he get a ring? That'd be hilarious. That would be hilarious. But
Oh,
yeah, and I definitely and I have like this theory. I've been waiting to like kind of like say it on the pod. But I think like from like the 2010s, I think a lot of teams want to like stack talent. And that was kind of like the way to win championships. I mean, you saw with the Heat, with the Cavs, with the Warriors. But after I think like the CBA changed a little bit, and like the way you can build a team and like add like certain players to your team who has won MVPs in the past or who make this certain amount because they got this whole second and third apron rules now. You got to build your team like a different type of way. So right now, I think it's better to have a deep 8 than like a big 3 and just some supporting players because I mean everybody can shoot now. You got to be able to defend multiple positions, and I think that's why we seeing a lot of parity within these last few years. Like it hasn't been like a repeat champion. Now, granted, Boston was hurt, but even before that, the Knicks were challenging them because they had those defensive wings. They had Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench. They got I don't know, just a more depth within their roster. At least like with Porzingis playing terrible, but yeah, that's just my theory. I think like you got to have more of a deep roster now. And we've been having a new champion every year now. We had the Celtics. Before that was the Nuggets, Warriors, Bucks. So it's been. I think we're gonna have a new champion this year too.
I mean, I think that's a part of it, but also we know the injuries have been a huge part as well.
Oh yeah, injuries always be like
injuries always a huge part, and I think also we're in a part of the league where it's like everything's transitioning to a younger generation of stars.
Yes,
like
I'm watching. I'm like, who are these people?
Eventually, it's coming, but KD, Curry, LeBron, all their time is coming to an end. Like they're clearly, I mean, they're still great players, but they're clearly not the cream of the crop, top 5 necessarily in the league anymore.
Yeah,
and so that right there to me also it's you just can't rely on your star talent. You can't just just count on one guy to carry you there all the way through the postseason.
Do you think that Jimmy Butler is considered an OG now, or is he like a little bit before OG status?
I think he is.
Definitely, I think he's definitely a vet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I definitely would consider him a vet. How old is Jimmy? At least 35.
30 something, yeah.
Yeah. So he's not old as far as the world, but as far as like a basketball player, he's up there. Like Curry's 37.
How
so
yeah, Jimmy 35. Yeah.
Yeah, 35.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I seen that video. Castanet, he was talking to Chris Brown. He was like, "You 35?"
I haven't seen that.
Oh, you got to find it on TikTok.
Did he kind of say he was old?
Yeah, he was like, Chris Brown was like, "I'm 35." Castanet was like, "You 35?"
That's funny.
Yeah, but I definitely agree with you, Andrew. And since you're talking about the younger generation, I guess we could start speaking on the Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards, cause dog, I ain't gonna lie, he a dog, bro. He a dog. And, I love Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, he's we'll speak on him a little bit too, but he's 27, and I think he was like right in his prime, right entering his prime. But Edwards, I don't think he's in his prime yet. And the season he had this year, like I watched a lot of his games, especially like the second half of the season. I feel like he was like unguardable, bro. For real. Like I think he had like a semi bad stretch in like December, but after that, I mean he made the most threes in the league this year. At a high clip, like 40% almost. Like right or maybe right under 40%. And you can't stop him getting to the rim. His playmaking has taken a huge leap from last year to this year. And I attribute a lot of his growth to something we and Andrew has spoken in the past episodes about. When these players go to the Olympics and they uh, learn from like the players before them, like he was out there with KD, LeBron, Steph, even who else was out there? I don't know what other vet, but like when you learn from those players and you see how they approach their pregame and like how they work out, what they work on, it almost always shows in the very next season or two their growth. We seen it in Ant right now. I still think he has like a growth because you can always improve at everything, but man, he hooping, dog.
No, you're right. He's definitely a student of the game and wants to learn from the best. And he soaks it in well, takes it in well, and it's showing.
Yeah.
And he talks about it all the time, how much he's learned from his time with Team USA. Like just the other day, he was talking about how he got, it was something about shooting, and he said he got it from Steph.
Yeah.
During their time at the Olympics. So he's definitely a student of the game and just wants to get better. And he's definitely not at his peak. So it's crazy to see how he is now. And I want to know what it's going to be like in 5 years or less.
Most definitely. He only 23 years old. Like that's crazy.
Super crazy. But I love him. I love his energy. I love what he brings to the game. He's funny. Like he's a dog. Hilarious. Like, we need that. Maybe cussing people out. I'm like, yeah, Ant. Yeah, let him know. Let him know.
He be going crazy with it. I don't know if you saw what he was saying.
Shout out to PSP. Oh, so he asked a question. He said, "Can Ant be the new face of the league?" I think absolutely. I had a conversation with a friend like some weeks ago. He was saying Ant, he can only be the face of the league if he's considered the best player in the league.
No.
And I disagree with that. Because
Giannis has been the best player in the league, and I wouldn't say Giannis has ever been the face.
Agree, and I would even say the same with Jokic.
He's definitely not the face of the
league. So yeah, and I don't know if it has anything to do with just them being like foreign, or if it's just the aura or the overall just appeal.
I think it's two things. I think it's them being foreign is a part of it, but also like play style. I think if they were a guard or a perimeter player, then I think that would be a different situation. Like but because
I mean, I feel like we've seen some big. Well, Shaq. I think Shaq's
probably the only one. But I think it's because Shaq was so much bigger than basketball to me. Shaq was like, or like he was in everything. Shaq was in movies. He was in like TV shows. He was,
commercials,
superhero, whatever. Like Shaq was everywhere, rapper, everything.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I think you gotta have that overall like that it factor around you, because I think like Kobe, LeBron was the face of the league, Shaq, but you can make an argument at one point within that era, Duncan was the best player in the league. I don't think anybody would consider him the face.
Never the face. He wasn't even like second, third, fourth, top 5 face in the league.
Yeah.
Because in that, when Duncan was the best player in the league, like we had Kobe still in his prime. T-Mac was probably more of the face to a lot of people.
Exactly.
Definitely LeBron. Shaq even still. So
I definitely think, and he's becoming one of the faces as we speak right now.
On every commercial, he's in movies.
I love his commercials too.
Yes, Adidas, Sprite.
You say believe that. Maybe want to get some ants.
You should. Some AE1s.
Yes, AE1s.
Yeah. He's on his way to being the face of the league. The only thing, like, he just can't pull no Ja Morant. Just don't pull no about Ja Morant, and he's safe. He's safe.
Oh yeah.
Ja was. People were talking about Ja.
I was getting that way too.
Yeah, and then we know what happened. So
he want to be.
He doesn't want to be though.
Kyle Wick.
Talked about that. Saying that he doesn't want to be the face of the league.
Yeah, but
Ant said that.
He said he doesn't really want to be the face of the league.
Well, and you don't have a choice, but
yeah,
you don't. I think I think I'd be great. Him, Tatum being one of the faces of the league. Whenever his I ain't gonna lie, that broke my heart when Tatum towards Achilles, man.
Mm-hmm.
I left all my group chats. I cut my phone off about 30 minutes.
Put on do not disturb.
I couldn't do it, but yeah, shout out to Tatum. He's
Yeah.
gonna be one of the faces of the league. Cooper Flag, whenever he gets drafted, I think he can have
Nah,
that.
we ain't gonna say that yet though.
I think he can.
This man even played the game yet.
We got to give him a second and see.
I gotta see. I mean, I believe that he has star potential and he's probably the most likely to reach it in that draft. But I'm not ready to stay. Face the league to me is like, you gotta be more than just like a star. And so
Yeah,
Mm.
I agree. You gotta have that it factor that Ant possesses.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he might just be like Gordon Hayward or something like that. Like obviously not like his game is not like Gordon Hayward, but he might be just that level of player. Huh?
Oh, no, when you said, I just wasn't expecting you to say Gordon Hayward. This is
No,
you said Cooper Flag gonna be Gordon Hayward?
No, not like his play, like not his level of play. Not like, but like
his energy, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, okay, yeah. You definitely got to have a certain type of energy,
and so it's
to be the face.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not saying he don't play nothing like Gordon Hayward, you know what I'm saying? But like Gordon Hayward was a star, you know, at a point, and so.
Oh, okay. You know what? Because you speak about because we speaking about Cooper Flag, and we got a question. He said, "Was the NBA draft lottery rigged?"
Absolutely 100% rigged. I don't care what anybody says. Like I'm not like one that says like all the games are rigged, and whenever there's like a favorite or home court situation, a certain team wins, or I'm not on that. But this to me is something that's so easily to rig, if it was to be the case, and actually get away with it. It's plausible for it to be the case, because how many people really need to know? Like, you could have a very select few people. Like, it just really can just be the commissioner, the deputy commissioner, maybe, and maybe like one other person, like just like the inner circle of whoever is the actual, so Adam Silver and like a couple other people could know, and that's really all it would take, because it's very easy to do. Like, we don't know, the full inner workings of everything. We know that they have a third party that verifies it, but maybe they could be fooling the third party, Yeah. And there's so much money to be gained by having a certain player go to a certain team. It just seems so easy to do. And the situation, like, it's just such a coincidence. It seems so crazy to me for Dallas to have a 1.8% chance to get the number one pick.
And they did.
They just traded Luka, and you had Nico Harrison talking about defense wins championships. That's why he did it. He sent him to the Lakers. He got AD. They have a nice, like, deep team of talent, but the fans are revolting. Nobody wants to buy any tickets. Nobody wants to buy season tickets. They hate the Mavericks. They're upset with the front office. They don't want to do anything with the Mavs. They're done. And we know there's going to be a huge drop off in revenue for the team going into next season. And that's going to also impact the NBA as a whole, the ratings, and also, just general dollar revenue for the league. So now if you have Cooper Flag going to Dallas to supplant the spot that Luka just left open, now you re-energize the fans, and it's like, oh my God, now we have a stacked team. Nico Harrison actually is low-key a genius, because
somebody said Mavericks won a trade now because they wouldn't have gotten this pick if it wasn't for
trading.
Because if they had Luka, they would have never been bad enough to be able to get that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they would have been a playoff team or a low seed probably.
So at the end of the day, it was all a setup.
Yeah. See, I can't answer that question as a definite like Andrew did, but
I'm not saying this for sure. Like, I mean, okay, I am saying this for sure.
You said absolutely.
But it seems like it's highly plausible for that to be the case.
Yeah, because when I first noticed something funny, when LeBron left the Cavs, they got the first pick 3 out of 4 years. I was like, how is it like? What's going on here? How did they get three first overall picks in 4 years? That gotta be one of the craziest things ever. And then I started looking back on different things in NBA history, like, the Magic just became an expansion team they got the number 1 overall pick with Shaq, and then the following year they got the number 1 overall pick again. And I
And
think
then there's
they drafted C Webb, but then they traded it for Penny. And then I looked at something when the Knicks got the number 1 overall pick from Patrick Ewing. And then like y'all got to see that video of that draft
it looks
lottery.
very sus, right?
So they bent one of the cards, I guess, so they know which one was the Knicks pick, and then they end up opening it, and the number 1 pick goes to the New York Knicks. They get Patrick Ewing, who's one of the biggest prospects of all time. They wanted him to go to the Knicks. That was kind of crazy.
A setup.
Yeah, that was very sketchy.
I think that it's something that maybe they don't do every year, but I think that there's been years where the league has had an influence on who won the lottery. I think like it's just too many situations. Like even the Chicago one with D Rose, I think they had also a less than 2% chance to get the pick that year, and they got D Rose, and then we know how big that was for that franchise. Of course, before he got injured and everything like that. But
it's crazy how everybody knew Wembanyama was going to go to the Spurs.
Yes. And even to the extent that they had former players working out with him, remember Tony Parker was was recruiting him and had everything to do with his entire development. And it just so happens, the fellow Frenchman
going to the Spurs.
gets him on the Spurs. Like, come on. So
hey man,
and also that's really the team that he needed to go to. And I mean, so I'm not even mad at it. That if he's gonna have a career that's gonna last long, he needs to be on a team like the Spurs because they're going to give him they're going to be very concerned about his health, taking care of, make sure that he has load management, that he's not overexerting himself. They were watching his minutes when he came into the league. I think he wasn't even a center straight away. He was a power forward, right? They had him next to
they were playing him at the 4.
They were playing at the 4, so that's really where he needs to be if he's going to really hold up. Because you know how I feel about big men like that. I think that they don't hold up over the course of. We'll see. I'm not a believer in it until I see it. We've seen Chet have issues holding up. He's already missed 100+ games.
You're talking about the way they're built?
Yes, any of the bigs that are 7'3", 7'4", 7'5", 7'6". Throughout NBA history, we've never seen those guys not have their careers derailed by injury. They always get, some crazy injury that changes the course of their career, and then they could never be the same player by the end of it. There's literally, we can't name one. That's what I've been saying. That's what I've been when I argue with a lot of my friends about this. You can't really, if you go through NBA history, try to name one guy that was an extremely ridiculously long 7'2", 7'3", 7'4", 7'5" type guy that was able to hold up. You can't. You literally can't.
Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
No. Zydrunas had a bunch of injuries though. Zydrunas had a bunch of injuries. He missed a bunch of time. And so, that's the thing. Even the guys that do play a long career, it's a career that they miss so many games because they're constantly having to deal with something. Look at Porzingis. Now we don't know what he's dealing with this year, but Porzingis has been something's up with him, right?
Have y'all seen any of the speculation? What people have been saying?
People been saying that he has AIDS. People saying he has AIDS. They're saying ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, but I've been saying that they said it's some strange illness.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've never seen him play this
game
before.
I saw people say that. Yeah, I was like, "What?" They said he has some kind of.
I've seen it on Twitter. Now,
that's crazy. I hope not.
You can't believe these stupid fan pages.
That's
yeah.
I don't believe that for a second. It's something else. But
I would say though, I have never seen him be this bad though. He's been terrible.
He's definitely sick. But before this illness, he always had injury issues. Now it's just something else. But last year he missed majority of the playoffs. I think he only was available for the finals, and he played two or three games.
He played that game 1 when he went crazy.
He was huge in the one game he really did play. He was probably the reason they won that game because he was ridiculous.
Yeah, he came in and then he missed the next 3.
Yeah,
and he played a little bit in game 5, I believe.
Ever since he got, but when he started his career, the first 2 or 3 years, he was when he was in New York with Melo, he was healthy. Mm-hmm. Then I think he broke his leg. He had some major injury. I don't know if it was he broke his leg.
ACL, I think
it was ACL.
Yeah.
And then ever since that injury, what did we have? Every year he would have issues.
Yeah.
And then he was never the same player, even when he was good
in the bubble with with Dallas and versus the Clippers, he had got hurt.
Yeah.
Because Dallas could have beat the Clippers in that series. They had KP, so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel you. I feel you on that, Drew. I hope it's not the case for Wembanyama, but
They'll keep him healthy.
Yeah,
He'll be fine.
because he a freak. All right, so I got a question for y'all. I'm gonna ask Taylor first. What's your rooting interest for this game 7? Who you want to see?
Denver versus okay.
Since you currently a Timberwolves fan,
Denver.
you want to see Denver?
Mm-hmm.
Is it just because y'all beat them last year? Is that why? Or
oh no,
and they've been smacking them this
we
year.
play better against them than we do against OKC. I think did we sweep them during the regular season?
I believe so.
Denver, I think we did, and so I'm hoping that it just. I'm like a superstitious person. I'm like,
yeah.
It just happened because it had happened during during the regular season. I'm just hoping that we could just keep it going. But I mean, OKC could be fine, but it's gonna be tough. I mean, both are gonna be super tough. The way we played this past series and against like the Lakers, all these turnovers, all this stuff's not gonna fly against either team. But out of the two, I'm pulling for Denver.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they match up a lot better with Denver. I think it may be a little tougher than it has been in the regular season, because I think Denver's defense has been a lot better in this playoffs than it was in the regular season when they played against the Clippers, and right now against OKC, their defense has been a lot better and more consistent. But I mean, OKC being the best defense in the league, and you spoke on them turnovers. OKC they gonna tear that up, because that's what they do.
They gonna capitalize.
They piss defensively. I mean, you got J-Dub, Shea, Caruso, Dort, Case and Wallace, all those dudes on defense. They want to turn you over. They want to run, and they want to score. So, no, I think OKC would be the harder matchup. But
definitely.
I think the Timberwolves could win either one of those series. Honestly, and then whenever that game 7 happens, we'll have an episode, predicting who we think will win that series. But yeah, I think it would be good. It'd be a good series either way.
Yeah. What about you, Drew? What you think?
I agree with the Nuggets being the easier matchup, and especially because they're going to have that confidence of beating them in Game 7 last year in Denver. So I think that's probably going to carry over into this season, is why y'all swept them this year in the regular season.
Yeah.
I think that OKC would be a more interesting matchup. So I kind of want it to be, if I had to go just as a fan, or what I want to see, I would rather see a OKC Minnesota series, because I would like to see Shea versus Ant.
Yeah.
And see who's going to get the better of that matchup. Even though they're not going to be guarding each other primarily, they're going to still be having moments where they're going to be matched up.
Yeah.
And I want to see who's going to, if Ant really is the face of the league and he's that guy, if he goes and he beats Shea, because Shea is going to probably be the MVP this year. Shea is probably consensus considered the better player in the league. And so if he actually in a series goes up against Shea, and a superior defense by far compared to what he's going to face against Denver, because they have so many guys they could throw at him on OKC, like Caruso, Dort, even SGA, and Jalen Williams. So there's so many guys that he has to go up and try and get the better of.
Then they got rim protectors, shit,
and they got rim protection.
Yeah.
If Ant goes through that series and he's the best player in that series, he's the best player in the league.
Oh yeah,
I can't wait.
Wait. He the what?
I'm playing. No, he's the top. He's the third best player in the league. If Ant goes through a series against OKC, if Ant goes through that series and he is the best player in that series, and they beat the OKC Thunder, he's not better than Jokic. No, he's not better than Giannis, but he's better than everybody else.
Hey.
Believe
it. Because let's see, Caruso, elite defender, your boy, right? You on ball, amazing. Caruso. Yes, help defender, ridiculous.
I think Caruso one of the best perimeter defenders I ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
not just in the
Lou
league.
Dort, ridiculous point of attack defender.
Yeah,
and very physical. Maybe and so that also
A little
You got
dirty.
Jalen
but-
Williams. Yeah, a little
That's
dirty
funny.
too. Yeah. So going a whole series against that, where you're going to be the primary focal point of that defense every single game. They're going to be trying to trap you. They're going to be they might just play them straight up at times as well, because they have the personnel to do that.
Mhm.
But if he actually goes and he actually has a better series than Shea, I mean, how can you say he's not better at that point? So
Guess we'll see.
so that's what I
see.
want to see.
I
That's what I'm
would
pulling
love-
for.
I would love to see Ant in the Garden in the finals. That would be a movie.
That would be dope.
Yeah, the series I want, like ideal dream scenario, would be as somebody that's not a fan of any of these teams, would be the Knicks versus the Timberwolves.
That's what
Just
everybody's
because-
saying.
Yeah, because there's so many reasons. Like there's narratives, like they had a trade in the offseason. Cat was on the Timberwolves last year. He's
Mhm.
on the Knicks.
Ooh.
Julius Randle is now
I-
going to be going up against his old team. Right?
Yeah.
Everybody was debating who won that trade, and to me, I thought it was the Knicks, if anything, were the team that was going to win that trade. But you could argue that they both won the trade, and now we're going to really see. We're going to really see who won the trade, because they're going to be going up against each other.
Yeah.
So that
Oh,
would be
an ultimate. Yeah.
That's the matchup I want.
yeah.
Man, that would be lovely.
And it would also just have that extra layer of comedy, because nobody thought this was going to be the series that we were going to get. Like nobody, if you go through any predictions, any analyst, any professional media talking head, none of them had Minnesota and the Knicks making the finals, except for maybe like Stephen A. Smith or something like that. He might have had the Knicks because he's like a Knicks diehard or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't even think he actually had the Knicks. I think he just
She may have had the Timberwolves making the finals. I don't know.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Well, she probably
Well, I
wanted them
did
to.
say we'll be back. I said that last season.
Well, and the next
Okay, well,
step
hold on.
would've been-
Be honest though. Coming after the way the season went though, because it was an underwhelming regular season. Coming into the playoffs.
For talking about this
Still-
season.
Yeah, this season. So
Uh-huh.
going into the season, y'all had like those expectations, but then as the season went, that y'all performed lower than the expectations because
Yes.
y'all were a lower seed. Did you think going into the playoffs that y'all were still going to be going to the finals, or did you kind of say, I think it's probably going to be this team, or it's probably going to be,
To be
and
honest,
obviously they're not in the finals yet. I'm just
yeah.
saying, like obviously they have a whole series to go.
I'm very
saying.
optimistic. So I'm the type of person that would just say, oh, we're going to the finals. Like, I don't care. We're going. And so I've always said that we were going to make the playoffs or we're going to the finals. We could be the worst seeding team, but I'm like, I don't know, we're going to go. I had high hopes from the beginning. Now, but it
Real
wasn't
fan
until
right
we actually got into the playoffs. Once we won that last game that got us in the playoffs and not having to be in the play-in, that's when I was like, okay, we can make something shake.
So how'd you
Before
feel about
that, I
the
was
Lakers
like,
matchup?
oh no.
How'd you feel about the
Right.
Lakers matchup before the series started? Like, obviously, once we saw how things were going, it was like, oh my god, like we see like on like how the actual matchup is playing out. But before game one, were you like, yeah, Timberwolves got this? Because me and
I was
Destin,
iffy.
I'm not a Lakers fan, but
Yeah,
I
I
had
was
the
a-
Lakers in 6.
I
Destin, I
was a
think had
little
Lakers in
iffy. I'm not gonna
6.
lie, because
5. Oh yeah, he had Lakers in 5. Yeah.
yeah. Because it is LeBron. And then they did get Luka.
Yeah.
And then even their like other players, like Austin Reeves, like they're also everybody's just so good
Mm.
with the Lakers. And so I knew it was gonna be tough. It was not gonna be easy. Then we won that first game, and then we lost that second one. I was like, damn, okay. I feel like this is gonna probably go to a game 7, or like we're just not gonna do well. But then we just started winning. Did we won again? Did we won one more time? I said, hold on. Wolves in 5.
Yeah, I think the Wolves in 5. So like the first 2 games, because the Wolves they destroyed the Lakers in that game 1. The Lakers they won pretty comfortably in game 2, but after that, even though the Wolves won those next 3 games, they all were kind of close.
Mhm.
But I mean,
In the first game, I really just chalked the first game up to like, it was one of those shooting nights where everybody was on.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
was on fire.
But when like those next 3 games, the Wolves was really winning the battle in like the trenches. Like they was getting a lot of killing us on the offensive rebounds, making like extra stops when the Lakers couldn't. There was a point in time, I think was it game 4. We played a full starting five for the whole second half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Luka, Reeves, LeBron, Hachimura, and Finney Smith for the whole second half, and then next thing you know, the Wolves they get second chance opportunities, or like the jumper from Austin Reeves was wide open. It was a little short. Just little things like that. I think they won like those margins, those clutch time moments. And
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle was hooping. Ant had a huge 40-point game, I think, in game 4.
To me, the difference in the series was it was McDaniels. I just didn't expect. I knew
McDaniels was hooping too.
Like I knew he
Reed
could
was out
score
there
and he could, yeah. But I didn't
hooping.
expect him to take advantage of the defense, especially Luka like that.
Oh
to
man,
that
he was
extent.
Mm-hmm.
Because
he
we
was
saw last year
destroying
when they
Luka.
matched up against when they matched up against the Mavericks, like he had some opportunities. He was taking some catch and shoot shots, but he was really making an effort to like attack. Like he was going at the rim, he was getting into the paint. He wasn't just like taking like, oh, I got these open catch and shoot looks. Like he was making shots I don't really see him normally even attempt. From McDaniels. And so that was what really impressed me and why I didn't even think that they would have a chance to beat the Lakers is because I didn't think that McDaniels had that level of offense that he could actually provide. I didn't think that was there.
Yeah, well, he wants to. Yeah. He can definitely perform and really do it all. He can take it to the rim. He can shoot. His defense. He's really an all-around just great player, I think.
And everybody laughed at Ant that time when he was like, well, y'all got KD, we got Jaden McDaniels. But hey,
in that series though.
Yeah, exactly, and even last year they he was hooping when they played the Suns. They swept the Suns.
Mm-hmm.
So shout out to Jaden McDaniels, man.
Hey man, Nickeil Alexander-Walker.
Man,
I think he's also
Lakers need to go get him this offseason. Yeah,
Lakers need to get a big man.
Oh yeah. We're gonna get
Lakers need to go get a rim protector and somebody that can catch a lob and finish.
We're gonna get Nickeil. We're gonna get
we're
gonna get Naz Reid.
We're not messing up our
Naz Reid. We're taking all y'all players.
You gonna take all of them?
Naz Reid. We're gonna take Nickeil.
Who are we gonna get?
Y'all good. Y'all be all right. Y'all have a championship.
Okay. I was so sad when just in this early start of the season when we did trade Cat though, because I did not think we were gonna do well. I was like, we messed up what we already had going on. Like we were already such a great team last year, #1 defense the whole year, #1 team, and then when we traded Cat. And really a lot of other people as well. I didn't think, and this is why I'm not a coach or on the basketball ops side, I didn't think anything needed to be touched. I was like, we did well, keep it the same. And then when we started trading all these people, and then we traded Cat, I was like, my jaw was on the floor, gagged. I was sad. I might have cried, low-key, I'm not gonna hold y'all. Because also just off the court, like I do build like relationships with these people, and so just knowing that Cat wasn't going to be around as much, I was sad. And then when we got Julius, he just kept throwing the ball all over the place. I was like, hell no, what just happened? Why'd we do that? But I've seen, like now that I've seen him play and just seen him get more comfortable with how we do things with in our organization and the team. It's a good fit.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely understandable, and the fact that he was drafted by them. I remember it was 2015 because he was the same draft as D-Lo.
Julius was drafted.
No, Cat was drafted by.
Oh, talking about by Minnesota.
Yeah, by Minnesota. Came up through the organization. When I think he was there with Garnett's last year, and they finally made it to the Western Conference Finals with him last year. And all of a sudden, poof, gone. And initially I was like, Like I was on with Andrew. I was like, yeah, the Knicks won that trade, and a lot of it was due to like financial implications too. Like
Yeah.
what I was reading about, because Cat, he made so much, and you gonna have to pay people down the line. You don't want to be a second apron team because it limits who you can sign and who you could trade for and all these other things. But I was watching this other podcast the other day, but they pointed out, if you getting this version of Randall along with who else they got in that trade, DiVincenzo, who's a
Mhm.
Yeah,
great
Dante.
role player, it makes the trade worthwhile. Because like I thought like Cat was a better player than Julius Randle.
Yeah.
And I still like Drew ever since he was a Laker, but he was a playoff dropper like over the course of his
That's
career.
the real reason why I was so in
Yeah.
on the Knicks winning the trade, because I'm a huge non-believer in Julius Randle. You know how I feel about Julius Randle.
Yeah,
I think I told you before. I think he's like in like a negative way. I think he's like the Westbrook of power forwards. Like he just be making terrible decision making, crazy shots.
Yeah, but he's been
bro.
really doing his thing, like
Mhm.
and not just like ever since he came back from injury this year, but in this playoff run versus the Lakers, versus the Warriors, man, like shout out to Drew. And then you got DiVincenzo, who's a huge supporting role player who can do it all. He can defend, shoot,
Mhm.
bring the ball up the court, do a lot of things. One of my favorite role players in the league. So that make the trade worthwhile. So it could, that's one of those win-win trades at
True.
this point.
But at the
So
time, I was like, oh, win-loss, us being lost. I didn't know much about Julius Randle. I'm gonna be honest with you. I guess I knew who he was, but I was not familiar with his game whatsoever. So I'm just like, man, why would we do that? But it's turned out to be good in the long run.
yeah,
I didn't realize how big he was.
Did
as
you see
well.
that clip of Randall hitting like back-to-back threes, and then they just cut to Curry on the sideline?
Oh, he was like,
oh yes, and he's just shaking his head.
He's like, ain't no way we're getting gamed on by Julius Randle like this.
Now, what are your thoughts if Curry was healthy?
I think that's serious.
Yeah.
I think it goes 7.
Mhm.
I think it goes 7. Yeah. Who wins? I don't know. See, my thing when I look at game 7s, I'm gonna take the team who has the best player. That's just kind of like historically how game 7s end. If you got the best player, you will win. Who's the best player in that series? Probably Ant. I think Ant at this point is probably a better player than Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, as well. You don't think so, Andrew?
He's like,
I mean, well, I don't got it. I think that would be Warriors in 6 if Curry wasn't injured. I think
Warriors in
they would've
6.
won in 6 because I think so much changed once he goes out. Kuminga goes from not really playing at all to being like, we need you, we have you. You
had
have
a couple
to
of good games too.
Yeah, he did, but like that's not somebody that you planned on having to rely on whatsoever going into the series. Like we saw against the Rockets, like Curry didn't even want to play him at all. Like I think he played maybe like 10 minutes, like maybe like total in that whole series, right? And that was only because
except that game when Jimmy missed. I think he started.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But no, he came back in when they had that whole bench lineup with Spencer and them.
Yeah,
and them dudes. But,
that's the game we was at.
Yeah, that's
game 2.
That's the game that we were at, and we blew them off the court. But yeah, like we see how big of an impact Curry is on that team. Like so much is revolving around him.
Almost
everything they do.
Yeah,
even like it takes Jimmy out of whatever Jimmy was trying to do to that.
So you think adding Curry changes from Wolves in 5? Oh well, maybe Wolves. Let's say Curry didn't even play game 1.
The first game,
that's probably Wolves.
The first game that Curry got hurt in, they blew the brakes off.
They did.
Right?
They started off.
Game 2 without Curry, that game was up in the air, right? That game was up in the air, and they could have went the Warriors' way. And I think it might have went the Warriors' way if Curry was playing. And so they could be up 2-0 with Curry, potentially, right? I'm saying, yeah, that could have a big swing on how things go. And
Curry, his overall gravity and his impact on the floor, it makes his teammates
him not being there means you need more out of Draymond offensively, which you don't want to have to count on. And then you need it's just too much. They already were a team that didn't have a lot of depth, and that the Jimmy Butler thing was what was gonna help sustain them through these playoffs because they had Curry. Now you have no Curry. You're asking Jimmy Butler to be that guy, which I don't think he can be that guy consistently for you anymore. But as a number 2, he could have his moments, and we saw it. He saw it against the Rockets where he had his games where Curry was there, and he popped off. But without that, I don't think that they could sustain enough offensively because they just don't have enough talent. And but yeah, I do think that changes the series. I still think it would be competitive, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Timberwolves were able to pull it off. But it was so significantly easier now without Curry.
Oh yeah,
that,
I'm like they were struggling offensively.
Like I was definitely more impressed by them beating the Lakers, even though the Lakers didn't have no big man. I was definitely more impressed because the talent that you're going up against with Luka and with LeBron, that was impressive. But this is a team with the Warriors that has a great defense, but now they're without their best offensive player. So that right there would have been that's why I want to see them play OKC. Because I want to see that'll really put it to the test, having to go up against that defense, and we're gonna see what you really made of right now at 23 years old. And it's fine if you can't get through that test because you're not even in your prime yet. I think that to me, a player's prime is usually 24 or 25. That's when it starts.
And
then their peak. So I always do prime and then peak. To me, your prime is 24, 25. Your peak, your best, is 28 or 29. And Destin, go check every player that you like throughout history. Go pull up their career, check when they were 24, 25, then check when they're 28, 29. Every player, go do it. You're going to see it. It's almost give or take a year. They either start their prime at 24 or they start at 25. They peak either at 28 or they peak at 29. And that goes for LeBron too. Because I know you love LeBron. Go check LeBron.
LeBron's still in this peak.
Look into that.
For real, man. I looked at so many players and just looking at that. 24 and 25 is usually a player's prime when it begins. When they're at a higher level, and then their best season of their career is usually 28, 29.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that. I think when players sort they 27 to 30, 31, that's when you see. And it may not just reflect in numbers, but when you watch, their overall, not just physicality, but
athleticism, skill, and their understanding of the game. It's all at its best. And then once they hit past 30, it may not be immediately past 30, but they start to decline. It starts to come down.
And they still have it up here.
But then the athleticism starts to drop.
The athleticism. I agree. So and he on some. That's why it hurt. It hurt so much when Tatum messed up his Achilles because he just 27. Like you said, he's entering that realm, that area that we're just talking about, and now he got to put it on pause. And even when he comes back, he's gonna miss it. He's gonna miss the whole season next year. Even when he comes back, he gonna have to wait another year. I feel until he gets back to the form that we just saw him at, because you gotta be able to trust that Achilles, and you gotta get your win back. You gotta get your game back. You gotta remember how to do this.
This is what sucks. But the truth is probably.
No. Don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that.
You know what it is.
Don't say that. We're not speaking that into existence.
No. I'm not saying his best years are behind him. But athletically, his best years are behind him. He could still have years where he's more productive.
Words, Drew.
More
efficient. I'm gonna send him the link.
He might score more points in the future. He might have better averages in the future. But just what we see, his athleticism, that his best years are going to be behind him. Because even KD had probably the best post Achilles we've ever seen performances after he had
probably him or Dominique.
Still a superstar player, still great. But we know athletically, KD's not the same player.
He wasn't.
We could tell because he used to get to the rim and he used to finish with authority over people. And his explosiveness going downhill at the rim has not been the same. Since that Achilles, he's way more of a perimeter guy, and it's KD, so he's elite. His shooting, his mid range, his pull up, all that is elite. So it doesn't matter he can still be effective because he has that skill set there to be able to like to get into his own shot wherever he wants because he can rise up on anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Tatum is going to have to rely more on that aspect of his game, his shooting, more than just being able to just like because Tatum could get into the paint and finish on guys. He's done it many times, and just like
dunked on LeBron, he dunked on.
Yeah, and so it sucks, but that's probably not going to be as big of an aspect of his game. We're gonna see though, but
yeah,
we'll see. What else I want to speak about? Oh, I think we didn't really touch on the East so far. I know hold on. Excuse me, I had to sneeze.
bless you.
Thank you. But yeah, I think the East playoffs has been pretty fun too. I'm excited for this Indiana and Knicks Eastern Conference Finals. Didn't they play last year in the second round or the
yeah, and the Knicks were like entirely decimated by injuries. You know how I feel about the Pacers. All right.
How do you feel about the Pacers?
I'm not a believer in the Pacers whatsoever. I think they are the luckiest franchise I've ever seen.
I wouldn't say that.
I've ever seen. Okay. Let me clarify. They're the luckiest franchise I've ever seen in the Eastern Conference playoffs that hasn't won a championship. Right?
Okay.
So because look at the last 2 years, they made it to conference finals, but back-to-back years with a road paved by guys going down on the other team. Like best players in the other teams having multiple injuries, and yes, they took advantage of it. Oh, like they can't. It's not their fault that these guys got hurt, but still, they're benefiting in a way that we've never seen before. That's hard to really, quantify how good they really are because they weren't expected to be there, and now they are, and there's so much, context that goes into why they're actually there.
So they're just getting lucky.
They're getting lucky. Like, yes, they're winning, and yes, they won some of those games where the Cavs were healthy. But the first game, no Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley. Second game, no Darius Garland, no Evan Mobley. Those are, their second best offensive player. Some nights their first best offensive player, and that's their best defensive player, and the guy that literally won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
So missing those guys multiple games.
Donovan Mitchell was a little hurt, playing hurt.
Yeah, and Donovan Mitchell has some massive games in that series, and but still, like you're telling me that could easily swing the series if those guys are healthy. And not having them means you're relying on your role players and guys like, well, although they were healthy, Max Strus, which I know you saw. Like Max Strus had
over 9 or over 10.
Did you see that story? You see that story where before the game
he said don't show up to the game if you don't believe.
That is one of the funniest stories I've ever seen. So you have a role player in Max Strus, who sends a message to the rest of the team. Like keep in mind, he's a role player. He's not a top 5 player on the team. He says if y'all ain't ready, don't show up to the game tomorrow
for game 5.
And the reporters,
I don't know.
Yes, he plays. He plays. He's like one of their better shooters.
Yeah,
okay.
He plays.
He played for the Heat.
Yeah, he played for the Heat.
Okay.
The reporters are reporting on what he said to the team before the game. He went 0 for 9 in that game.
0 for 9 in game 5.
He said don't show up. He said don't show up if you're not ready to play.
You ain't show up.
Right, you didn't show up. That was a message for you.
I need to see like an interview of this man after the game. I really need to see.
Bro, I'd have been like, y'all ever tune into Jeff Teague's podcast?
Yeah, I've seen a little bit.
Well, he got like his podcast is hilarious, and he had showed this one time. He played for the Pacers. Paul George shot a game winner versus the Cavs, but he airballed it, and then he said when they went in the locker room, CJ Miles has showed the clip of the Gatorade commercial of Paul George, but then it followed with the airball. I wonder if they did that to Max Strus in the locker room after the game. Like, how you gonna send this message to the team? And you gonna go 0 for 9? Like
0 for 9.
Make it 3.
I can find it because this is hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's hilarious. But yeah, like be cool. Lighten up on the Pacers a little bit, Andrew. Because I do. And I will make my prediction now. I would choose. I'm picking the Knicks in 6, but I do think.
This is cool.
A group text message was sent
yeah,
out to every single Cavalier player from Max Strus. Strus said simply, if you don't believe, then don't show up for work. Strus said this morning that he doesn't think this group is done.
But yeah, and then he goes 0 for 9.
I mean,
if you said don't show up for work. Oh man,
it was a cute message. I like it, Max Strus. I see what you were trying to do. You
But
gotta
show
make
up.
at least one shot.
Yes. Yes.
You gotta make at least one shot. But I do think in this series, the fact that Thibodeau plays his guys so many minutes, it gets this Pacers team who's really deep and they play at like a high pace. They're gonna be running the Knicks like hard, like to the ground. I don't know. I feel like one of these games, I feel like I could definitely see a couple Pacers blowouts in this series, at least one, just based off the fact that they wearing them out. Like even yesterday, the Knicks were up 30 something in the fourth quarter, and he was still playing his starters. Like Tibbs was still playing his starters. He brought OG back in.
Thibodeau is crazy. We've known this for years.
OG
going back to Chicago
midway through the fourth. Like, bro, did you not learn from what happened with D Rose? D Rose shouldn't have been in that game some years ago. And now, yeah. But but my prediction, I got Knicks in 6 for that series. I think we're gonna have a New York Knicks NBA Finals.
Okay, I think so too.
You got the Knicks too?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Drew, who you? Oh, well, yeah, Drew. Yeah, you got.
You already know. It's I'm a non-believer, so they got to prove it to me. I mean, if they go out there and they beat the Knicks, as long as nobody mysteriously goes down with an injury again, which just seems to be how it happens.
Mysteriously.
But yeah, if everybody's healthy and they beat them, then yeah, I'm gonna give props to the Pacers, and then I think they're gonna get smoked by whoever comes out of the West. No, for real, I think they're gonna get smoked by whoever comes out of the West.
You never know. Will somebody get injured?
Yes. Now that would be crazy. If somebody on the Knicks gets hurt and then somebody in the finals gets hurt for the Pacers, that would just be like divine intervention.
Things are going. It seems like everybody's getting hurt.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. It's like every team is losing a star.
Yeah.
And like Drew, I need to send it to clip that. But he has 3 keys to what you said, 3 keys to a championship team.
Yeah, but it's really 4 now because you sold me on the 4th one, which
I
do.
I added a 4th one. So
the 4th one is coaching, but it was talent.
Mm-hmm.
So talent. First one was talent. Second one was health. Right. Third one was experience, and the 4th one is coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So whatever team that you match up with in the playoffs, whoever checks the most of those 4 boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Is the team that almost wins it like 99.9% of the time, the team that wins it. And so, like talent is a big one, obviously.
Yeah.
But if you're, significantly hampered by injury, well, that also impacts your talent to an extent. And so, and then your experience, we've seen so many teams over the years have a great regular season, go into the playoffs and get knocked out by a veteran team that has more experience, that's been there, done that. And
you could see it tomorrow.
That's been a narrative. Like basically, we see all the time. So we could see that. Yeah, we'll see tomorrow. That could be OKC losing to Denver, and OKC had by far the better regular season.
Mm-hmm.
They by far were the better defensive team and offensive team. They're more deep, so they check every box. They're not an injured. They're a young team. They don't have injuries.
Yeah,
right. Except for experience and coaching. What we're gonna see. Because right now, David Allen has been impressing as a coach, right?
Yeah,
I think he outcoached Ty Lue in that Clippers series, and I didn't think that was going to be the case. I thought like Ty Lue was gonna be, at least on paper, he was the better coach. But you already know how I feel about some of his decisions in that series.
Yeah. Shout out to David Adelman, man, because I wrote them off when they fired Mike Malone, like a week before the playoffs. I'm like, Mike Malone.
I still don't know why. Like, I don't know if y'all heard anything.
I think they said he could be due up for a contract. I understand why they fired the GM. Mike Malone, I don't know, but they said it's possible he could be due for a contract. They don't want to pay him as much. So They decided to let him go.
Rick Adelman, that's one of my favorite coaches ever.
Yeah,
That's
Rick
my
Adelman's-
favorite.
He's
That's my
coaching
favorite
Rockets.
Rockets coach by far.
Didn't he coach
I've
Sacramento,
seen-
right?
He coached Sacramento during the whole C-Web, Mike Bibby, Vade Divac era. Paige
That's what my
Siakam.
dad was with in Sacramento. He was
Also,
with-
he was with Rick Adelman.
yeah, that's how we
Yeah.
got to Houston, was because
Yeah.
they left Sac and went to Houston.
Mm.
And I loved Rick Adelman as the coach in Houston. Like I love those offenses
Mhm.
of those Rockets teams. With when we had back when we had Ron Artest.
Yes, it was so
That
good.
was right when T-Mac.
Luis Scola.
That was
Yes,
that was right when
Luis.
T-Mac's career kind of ended, or like he had that surgery and then he was kind of
Mhm.
done. But Rick Adelman had us outperforming like every year where we were supposed to be. Like we were always
Yeah.
like an overachieving team, and it
Like-
was really because
we talked a lot about that series when they played the Lakers and it went 7, and going into the series the Rockets didn't have T-Mac, and then during the series he blew his knee out
got
his
hurt.
foot or something like that.
you know how I feel about that series. That's to me.
Really?
There's as a Rockets fan, there's 2 series. I know there's 2 playoff runs in like my entirety of watching the Rockets that I feel like if we were healthy, we win the championship. And I think that's 2018, when Chris Paul goes down against the Warriors.
Mhm.
I think we win the championship if Chris Paul doesn't go down that year.
Mhm.
And I think also 2009. 2009, that team, man, without Yao Ming,
I remember Aaron Brooks was going crazy.
Aaron, we were so deep,
Yes.
and we had Yao playing at an
remember
elite
watching
level. We had
Mhm.
Artest probably having his last like star level season, because I think by the time he was with the Lakers, he was more like he was still a good player, but he was playing
Yeah.
more as a role player.
Mhm.
But he was really good in that series, Ron Artest, and like for that season, like there was times where he was our best player, you could argue, but it was between Yao was overall our best player because his ability just to like score super efficiently
Yeah.
and be a rim protector. But that team was deep. We had a young Kyle Lowry coming off the bench, having like big minutes. He was kind of like
on that team.
Battier was still huge, an elite defender.
Shane Battier.
Man, that team had so much talent. We had Luis Scola playing really well. We had Carl Landry. A lot of people forget about Carl Landry. He was playing really good.
Mhm.
That team was fun to watch, and they were deep. And we were giving the Lakers everything. The Lakers ended up winning the championship that year in 2009. They smoked. Well, I don't know. There was a couple close games, but they handily beat the Magic. We owned the Magic. Like we dominated the Magic, not even just that year, for years. Because every time we played the Magic, Dwight could not handle Yao. Yao owned that matchup, and Dwight even said it. I remember, like he would say, like, "Oh, like like it was always a struggle for him to deal with Yao because he was just so big. And he would just get him under the hoop, and like his defensive presence was minimized whenever we would go up against the Rockets. And we lose to the Lakers in 7 with Yao missing the last 3 games.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not saying, obviously it could have still went either way, but one game we won in LA was the game 1 that Yao played. And Yao was huge in that game. Like he had big shots down the stretch, hitting this little mid-range turnaround,
That's a
that's
nice
one-
squad.
I want to bring up a traumatic memory.
Nah, it's
Hey, it
it's
happens.
fine. I don't think it was something that it was rigged or anything like that. Whatever. No.
Mhm.
I think it's just unfortunate injuries. And then we saw after that, Yao was never the same. He came back.
Yeah.
He came back the following year. He played like 10 or 15 games. Then they had to shut him down for the season. Foot surgery. Then he was done. Had to
Yeah,
retire.
he pretty much done after that.
I'm looking at the roster who we had. Yeah, we had some ballers. I've got like Chuck Hayes.
Yeah.
But Chuck Hayes had the funkiest
Yeah.
free throw
Man,
ever.
Chuck Hayes, what's crazy is after Yao went down, Chuck Hayes was also a big part of us pushing that thing to 7 because we were putting him on Paul Gasol, and he was annoying Paul Gasol. Like Paul Gasol could not post him up. He could not back him down for anything.
Yeah.
That was the last time where we saw like we're never going to see that anymore in going forward in the future of the league. There's like a special, like Chuck Hayes was literally on the team for one reason. He is the best post defender in the league. Like he's a super elite post defender. He can't shoot. His free throw form is completely broken.
Bro,
I don't know if you saw
That had to be
literally-
that got to be one of the ugliest free throw forms.
It
I've
is
ever seen.
ridiculously bad. Like his free throw I think he shot like 40% or something
I forgot
crazy.
how he shoots. I'm gonna have to watch a video.
Oh
he
my
shoots
goodness.
and then leans, pauses.
Oh my.
Oh,
And
and
then-
then it's like
yeah,
Oh
something
my.
like that.
goodness.
Yeah.
Funny.
I
yeah.
remember.
That was nasty.
It was bad.
I remember it was a video of Allen Iverson. Like he was
Uh-huh.
laughing at it. He thought it was like a tech or something, or like I don't know. I gotta find it. You looking it up, Drew?
Oh, I'm gonna find it. This is
Find
It's
the one
really
with Allen
bad.
Iverson, bro. That one.
Ooh,
and I saw him shoot those so many games, man. It's
Did they ever
think
do
this is
Hack
it.
and Chuck?
this is
Hack and Chuck.
Oh yeah, look.
Ooh,
Let me bring this back.
yes, I remember.
He wants to actually opt
First
out
of
of the
all,
last year of
his
his
quality.
contract for $20 million to sign a 6-year extension.
Yeah,
We'll take
right.
him to
So
age
it shows you how
35,
old this
and we'll see what happens with that.
Harden got the flagrant one, and that's why she hits.
They say he's
he
stepping
was
over
stepping
the
over the
line.
Shot
line.
right there has got a.
You saw Yao come pat him on the butt.
Lane
Yeah.
violation shot right there.
He said he traveling. He said he traveling.
Joe Haynes was the California. Oh my God.
That's one of those you don't even
Uh-oh.
watch.
I know, yeah,
Hey,
just read it,
I
I
said
didn't
he
watch it.
It's
traveling
like
on
when
the
you're
free throw.
playing golf and you see a
Look at
guy
Yao
shank a shot,
trying to
you go, I don't
motivate
even
him.
wanna look.
Oh my God.
Yao's
One of
actually
those
killing
you
me
don't
in
even
this
want to
clip.
watch.
I know, yeah,
Watch
just read it, and I didn't watch it.
That's like when you're playing
That's
golf and you
so
see a guy
funny.
shank a shot, you go, I don't even want to watch. Look, I mean, look at this.
Oh
I mean,
Lord.
Like
whoa.
he's going all the way over there.
Kenyon Martin came over and
I don't
started
understand.
laughing at me. I mean, you don't even want to look at a shot like
Like
that.
how
I
hard
mean,
is this to just?
That
He got to do all that.
is insane.
And we
Oh.
still, but his defense was so valuable in certain matchups that we still played him, and he still was effective
Mhm.
because he was able to shut some guys down. Just absolutely, like I remember he gave KG fits. KG couldn't post him up. KG couldn't get to his spots whatsoever,
Mhm.
and we would just put him out there. It'd be like 10 minutes, maybe 10 to 15 minutes at max. But he would alter some games because that was when there were so many more guys posting up, and that was a big part of the NBA still. Now
Yeah.
we have it's very select few guys that post up like that.
Mhm.
It's we have Jokic, Embiid, maybe Sabonis. Obviously, Sengun on the Rockets is a big post up player,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it's really like it's less than 10 guys for sure that are really like big post up players.
And I think even with that being in like today's NBA, you got to be you got to kind of provide something offensively. You can't just be like a defensive specialist. Now you got to have a little something at least to
Yeah,
play consistently in the playoffs in the regular season. Like you got to provide something else. But it's crazy, and it's fun to see like just the evolution of the game just from 15 years
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
Because when that was like maybe 2008, 2009.
that was either 2008 or 2009. It has to
Yeah.
be one of those years. Yeah.
Yeah, so
And so,
yeah, the game changing.
that's
Mhm.
really what. So like I think Curry came into the league in 09. He's 09 draft.
Yeah, he drafted now. No,
Yeah, and that was like the same draft that had what Harden came in that draft. I think Blake Griffin.
Blake Griffin, I think.
was number one pick in that draft.
Yeah.
And really that draft of crop of players began the upward climb to where we are today. Like with there's such a huge emphasis on 3-point shooting, isolation from the 3-point line back, where you
Mhm.
guys are literally just dribbling the ball and taking step backs. Guys
Mhm.
pulling up in transition routinely. Like guys would do it in the 2000s, but it was nowhere close to this. They may do it a few times a game. Now it's guys do it like majority of the game, right? Like
Yeah.
we saw like Gilbert Arenas was one of the guys that did it in the early 2000s. T-Mac would do it. Of course, like
Gil was
Kobe
crazy.
did it occasionally. But yeah, T-Mac did it. T-Mac probably to me was the first guy I saw do that. Like really just like take root, like take a lot of like transition threes, pull up threes, off the dribble, not like in the flow of the offense, like just kind of jacking it up, but making it work, making it effective. And then like Curry of course came along, and then Curry was the guy that he's not just taking threes in transition, he's taking threes from 35 feet in transition
And turning around.
Yeah, and turning around and yeah. And so that's where we are today. But back then there was, I guess you could get away with it because the 3-point shot wasn't to the point where it is now, where it's like 40 attempts a game.
Yeah.
From like every team. It was probably like half that or something, as far as the attempts. And guys were still like, even a lot of people forget that Warriors team they were a post-up team when Curry got there.
Yeah, they had
Like,
was it David Lee?
They had David Lee and Jermaine
Jermaine
O'Neal running
O'Neal.
post-ups, like
Yeah.
a ton of post-ups with Curry on the team. And they were like,
they was using Curry as like a kind of like a traditional point guard.
he was more of a traditional point guard, and that was Mark Jackson. That was him being like an old school kind of guy.
Yeah.
He still had that mindset because he was a point guard. He was a floor general. I think he's like second or third all time in assists, right?
Mhm.
And so like he was kind of molding Curry to play a certain way. And so if any credit is gonna go to Kerr, which I do think he deserves a lot of credit for the championship teams, it is really leaning into the way Steph Curry plays.
He unlocked Curry.
Yeah, because they eliminated those post-ups. Once Kerr got there, he was like, wait, we got this generational shooting talent who has a ridiculous range. Why are we posting up David Lee and Jermaine O'Neal and having him like just, be a traditional point guard? We also got maybe I would say he is a top 10 shooter all time in Klay Thompson. You could argue higher than top 10. You could argue the top 10, but he definitely minimum top 10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And we need to be taking way more 3-pointers. We need to post up a lot less. And they started doing that.
On
And
the post, it's setting up.
it's
one of them.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's
Draymond in the
it's
post.
very
Draymond not trying to do no drop step or fade away.
when
Yeah.
I want to say when Kerr got there, Draymond was still coming off the bench. Like Mark
Mhm.
Jackson had to come off the bench.
I
and then
think
when Kerr got there,
and Iggy was starting.
Yeah, Iggy was starting. Then Kerr got there, and Kerr was like, "Hold up, nah, this dude actually we need to put him in the starting lineup. He's like, he's our best defender, and he actually is a pretty good passer, playmaker, and we could use Iggy as like a do it all kind of
Like a Swiss
off the
Army.
bench guy." And
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
like that unlocked that team. And then we have the era that we're in now, which is the 3-point revolution
Yeah.
of basketball. Which
So I want to ask y'all Taylor specifically, how you feel about like just the amount of because whenever I watch Boston, I feel like they just all they do is they shoot threes. And sometimes I love it, and I understand it, and sometimes I'll be like the mid range right there, or like try something a little different, but
Mhm.
just how it's changed so much. And one of my friends on the internet, Bob, he called it matsketball. So they play. He called it. He said they playing matsketball. So they playing the numbers more than they playing the game. And so like and Andrew told me if you shoot 33% from 3, that's the
it's
equivalent
50% from 2.
of going 50% from 2.
Mhm.
So you might as well shoot the threes, and if you make them at a higher percent than 33%, then it's worth your while.
It's a good shot.
Yeah.
It's a good shot.
That's the whole analytical side of basketball that people either love or they hate, or they I think that you could I continue, my bad. Yeah.
No. But I was going to ask her like how she feels about like the overall influx of
Everybody want to shoot threes.
Yeah, everybody want to shoot threes now.
I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with it. I mean, when they go in, it's great, but I feel like you need to know when to stop, or you need to know when we don't need it. Because sometimes you don't need it. And it's just like, why do you keep shooting threes? Like I was just watching one of the games, and I don't know if it was Ant or Julius, but like they shot a 3, missed it. Got offensive rebound, gave it back, shot a 3 again, missed it. I'm like, dang, okay, like we don't need it. Everybody doesn't need to shoot threes. Like it'd be nice to have a traditional center, like a center that doesn't know how to shoot threes, like Rudy Gobert.
Yeah,
somebody that actually knows how to work the paint and
Mitchell Robinson
step and all this other stuff, because it's not there anymore. Everybody wants to shoot threes, no matter their position.
Mhm.
And I just think it gets to be a lot sometimes. But I mean, hey, if you make them, which is great. But it's like if you're not, you need to know, like gambling, you need to know when to stop. And take it to the rim, take it to the hole. In my opinion.
Yes, I'm a fan, and I'm a supporter of the to 3-point shot movement. I ain't gonna lie.
Mhm.
Now, do I think you need to be shooting? You need to know what areas and what spots you good at. I don't need you coming down shooting a 3 in somebody's face. But and also I do think the most important aspect of offensive team is rim pressure, because that opens up 3-point opportunities, because most of the shots now in today's game either coming at the rim or from 3. Like mid range is it's
Yeah.
almost absent, unless you're talking about like specific players, maybe DeRozan, KD, Cade, Shea. They shoot a lot of mid ranges, but for the most part, you either scoring in the paint or you shooting from 3. And like I'm all about efficiency, and I'm a fan of analytics, but I need you to know what analytics work for you. So if you not a good 3-point shooter, focus on ways you can continue to generate rim pressure
Yeah.
and become either better finisher or a playmaker out of gravity that you get from your rim pressure, things like that. I don't need you jacking up 10 threes if you sub 35%. Like no, like that's not what but I do either get to the rim or shoot threes. You shoot a long 2, me being a coach, I might bench you. I ain't gonna lie.
To me,
As long as it goes in, though.
I mean, it better go in.
It's better. So you'd
better
rather
go
a
so you
three-pointer-
email Udoka for real.
Besides the Nia Long stuff, yeah. I mean,
Oh
man,
Lord. But nah. So for me, it depends on your roster. So I think like with I think a big reason why the 3-point revolution, the focus, the whole basketball thing has taken off is because a lot of GMs are realizing when they're constructing these teams, it's easier to get guys that can just make a catch and shoot 3 than it is like when you're talking about just like the money you got to invest in certain players, who you're going to be getting in free agency, and when you're drafting. What do I have? What can I build around? I think it's easier to find a guy that can just make a catch and shoot 3 or a wide open catch shoot 3 than it is to find a guy that's a good guy in the mid range. And it is to find a guy that can do it all, dribble, pass, shoot. Like the hardest guys to find are the guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot, right? And like at a good to elite level, right? But you could find a guy for significantly less money or easier in the draft that can hey, we're gonna get you in a situation where all you got to do on offensively is stand there, get the ball, fire it up, and do it at a 33 or higher percent rate. And you can find guys that can do it 35.
I think average now is like 35 and up.
Yeah. Average in the league is like 35. So you can find guys easier that can shoot higher than 35% from 3. Then you could find a guy that can like get to a spot and pull up in the mid range and get downhill. So you could get your team to a level where they could win more games without necessarily having, kind of get around it, because you can't, it's hard to find those guys. And when you do have those guys, like, those elite superstars, those are the guys you want taking those shots. Those are the guys you want taking those mid-range shots when they're there. Those are the guys you want, attacking the lane. You could have other guys do it, but they're not going to be as proficient at it, and it's going to be wasting some of your possessions. So you know what? Let's have the main guy do it, and you just stand in your spot and just get your shot when you're ready, right? And now, of course, if you could get multiple guys like that, and you can get them for a good price, then of course you do it. But it's just a harder thing to do. It's a harder thing to find. That's why I was so impressed with McDaniels, because he was showing more than just catching and shooting, and he's not a superstar, but he was able to do a lot more like in that series. Whenever you can get that out of a player that's a role player or not an elite main guy, then you playing with house money. Like you getting way more than what you anticipated. Look at those, and I love the Rockets, but look at those Rockets teams. When we had Harden was really, until we got Chris Paul, he was the only guy on those teams that could really dribble, pass, and shoot at a good to elite level.
It worked.
Right?
It worked. It was a top 3 seed.
Yeah, it worked.
You have your have some spacers, and you have your
vertical threat. Yeah. But we had somebody like PJ Tucker, who literally is the definite, and he on the Knicks, of course. Now we know he's literally a corner specialist. He can only shoot threes like at a decent clip from the corners. He sucks anywhere else around the court. Yeah. So what do? We literally just have him sit in the corner the entire game. on offense. And defensively, he would clamp up, and he would that's where his value really was. But his way to stay on the court was just making corner threes.
Yeah.
Right. We had Eric Gordon, who was a really good shooter, and he had some capability to put the ball on the floor, but that wasn't his strong suit. And creating for others definitely wasn't his strong suit, right? And so what eventually ends up happening is those teams run into a certain team in the playoffs that has a great defense that can now put pressure on that one shot creator, trap them, send a lot of bodies their way. And you need that other creator. You need multiple creators.
That's why they got Chris Paul.
To really, to go through a whole playoff gauntlet and get to the finals and win a championship. That's what you need. And I think that's also really hard to find. And so, and that's why I think that's where we're at. And it's easy. So it's easier to win, which is why those Luka teams were able to work, because they had Luka doing that same thing. He was the main guy creating for all of these guys that were catching, shooting. Then they got Kyrie Irving, and they went to the finals.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's kind of where I'm at as far as like labeling players and building teams. I don't look at, okay, we need a point guard, we need a shooting guard, we need a small forward, we need a power forward, we need a center. I don't even look at positions like that anymore. I look at, okay, we need a creator, we need a point of attack defender, we need a vertical threat. I look at stuff like that. Like, I don't look at point guard, shooting guard, small forward anymore. Even though I know they still have the positions, but I think having roles, identifying roles, and establishing roles on the team, and building your roster on that, knowing what you need, that's more important for building a roster, and that can turn into your team success. Like you said, Drew, like Dallas had everything. They had the vertical threat, they had the spaces,
multiple.
They had defenders, had that creator, and Luka. They just needed another one. When they got Kyrie, look at them. They made the finals. Now they didn't win, but they still had a championship level team. And they could have made another run this year if Nico Harrison didn't give up on Luka. But yeah, I definitely agree with that. But the NBA game has changed so much, but I'm loving it though. I just it looks ugly though. A lot of times when I forgot it was a game this year. It was the Bulls and some other team. I think they missed 70-something threes. And my dad called me. He was just like, "Man, what's going on with the NBA?" He just
To me, if there's any criticism on certain teams shooting too many threes, to me it falls on the star players. And not like them, like it falls on them taking too many threes. Some of the role players, that's really what they're there for, right? They're there because their specialty the reason they're on the court is because all we could do is catch and shoot threes. That's all we could really do effectively, right? We're not a good mid-range shooter, and we're not going to be in those situations to get a lot of mid-range shots. But you, the guy that could dribble, pass, and shoot, you don't need to take all those threes right now. You could you could attack the paint. You could take it. You could diversify your game, right? So if anybody, like when people criticize Tatum, the only criticism I think that's valid is there's times when he takes too many threes. Often the Celtics as a whole take too many threes, but sometimes he has games where he's like, bro, you're taking 15 threes when you like the most athletic dude on the court, or if not the most athletic dude, the next most athletic dude on the court. You could beat your matchup and get to the rim way more than you're actually willing to do right now. And you're taking these shots and you're not hitting them at a high clip this game. Why are you still taking these shots? Of course, if it's Peyton Pritchard taking a three, you want Peyton Pritchard shooting a three. He's a 40% three-point shooter, and he's taking them off the catch most of the time, right? Or if it's Derek White's an elite three-point shooter too, and he's taking them off the catch. Of course, these guys should be shooting threes, and they should be shooting as much as
Al Horford.
Yeah, these guys. Yeah, but you could score in a variety of ways. You have the bag, the skill set to do other things.
He was cooking in that game 4, bro.
Yeah, he was. So, but that's the thing. Like it was the fourth game that we started to see it. And he got those he got criticism for his game 1, game 2, game 3 they won, and he had a decent game, but he didn't really have to do much. They blew him off the court. But yeah, I mean that's the thing. I do think that if you're gonna criticize anybody, it's certain stars. If they're not hitting these threes and they're taking a lot of them, then I could understand it. And also the Celtics, they have so much talent. Like they're a super deep team. They have so many guys, so it's like you're gonna get that 3-point shooting from other avenues, right?
Yeah,
you can get it from other. You know,
That's the
Yeah.
only thing. And I'm a huge Tatum fan, but I hate the games he just jacking up those threes. I be like, this got to be fatigue.
It's like, you gotta do something else.
Yeah, like dude, you 6'9", you got a bag, you can shoot over anybody, you can
Mhm.
get almost by anybody. Like, but yeah, get well soon, JT, so you can stop these people who don't think your athleticism gonna be gone. I'm not gonna say no names, but
at least for him, he's a champion, and no matter what, that's
Yeah.
already gonna cement you.
2-time
Yeah.
gold medalist, by the way.
I didn't even remember it was
And
two-time.
he won in
Two-time?
well, we didn't have one in 20 because of COVID,
Yeah.
so they had it in 21.
Where was it?
Was it in
remember.
Tokyo?
Remember. Where?
It might have been Tokyo.
Last year was London, I believe.
Oh, then
Was
yeah.
France? Wasn't it France?
Tokyo.
Was it France?
Was last year was France? No, wasn't it? Am I tripping? Oh, it was France.
Oh no, you're right. It was in Paris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's France. Only reason I remember because I remember
Yeah.
I think they were swimming in like the there was like a whole thing where like swimmers were getting sick because they were swimming in like the French Channel or something like that, and they had like a bunch of like toxic chemicals in it or something.
Oh,
like
wow.
that. I was no reason like that. But
Yeah, the 20. Well, it was the 2020 Olympics, but they had it in 2021 because of
COVID.
because of
And when
COVID.
it's
It was in
in
Tokyo.
Japan. Okay.
Yeah, it was in Tokyo. Yeah, I remember that watching those games. Him and KD was like the best players on that team. They was hooping. I think they went against Ime Udoka's team. Was Ime Udoka coaching
Nigeria?
I think so.
I don't
I
remember.
think he did. I think he did coach Nigeria.
Yeah, he was.
Um,
Yeah, Tatum. So you a 2-time gold medalist, NBA champion. Look, Andrew gonna hate this one. He Eastern Conference Finals MVP.
I just don't like the accolades that they just added like over the past like 5 years because like there were so many years where like other guys and throughout history just didn't get this award.
Mm.
And it's now we giving dudes extra awards that didn't exist for like 95% of the history of the game. And
I
so it's
feel
like,
that.
oh, like you add into your,
Now they
to
putting
your
all
legacy.
this
but-
value on these.
Mhm.
yeah, I don't like changing up stuff that's like been there for the longest when it's like an accolade. Like you could find the only thing I would be open to, maybe them doing is like a playoff, most outstanding playoff performer type of thing or something like that. I would be cool with that. Instead, like if you have the Finals MVP, maybe you could do like a playoff MVP or a playoff. I don't know. You could do it some kind of way. I could be maybe open to that as a new reward because I feel like that's something that should have always been there for
But
like the
Eastern
entirety.
Conference,
Yeah, you could do like a
MVP isn't something you like.
just for like the because now you have like I don't know. It just feels like you have one series like for the conference finals and when I say playoffs, I mean the entire I mean a playoff MVP for the entire playoffs, East and West, not like a Eastern Conference playoff MVP and a Western Conference playoff MVP.
Mhm.
I mean like the entirety, first, second, third finals.
You got the regular season MVP.
The whole thing.
You have a
Yeah,
playoff
yeah.
MVP.
Yeah, I think it should be like that, and not just like a single series. You could still have the Finals MVP because that's been around. It's historically a thing that's been around for forever. I want to still keep that there, but like that's where you could have players who didn't win the championship be the playoff MVP because they were like statistically the best player, and everybody considered them the best player throughout the playoff run. But maybe they lost in the finals, right?
Mhm.
Maybe somebody on their team or another player had a better finals run for like 4 or 5, 6 games, whatever. But for like 20 games or 25 games, however many games are in the playoffs, they were the best player. I think that would be a cool award, and it would be something that's meaningful or to be like, oh,
Maybe in the
every year, every year we could be like, this guy was the best playoff performer of this year, and we would have we wouldn't have to be like going and thinking about it. Oh, who was the best playoff performer that year? Who was the best playoff performer that year? We kind of be like, oh, 22, 23, 24, that guy was the playoff MVP, and everyone's like, yep, it wouldn't even be a debate, So, or it could be a debate, but we would know. Like it would be. I think that would be a cooler thing.
Mhm.
But I know, and Justin, I know you would agree with that. I know you want something like that because you'd be like, dang, LeBron would have like 5 more of those or something like that.
He would.
Yeah, and I hate like and I hate how like we kind of like historically look at accolades because I'm not like I like for like fans of players, I like looking at accolades, but for like comparing who's better and all that, I don't really look at accolades because a lot of that's kind of based off media opinion and like I don't know, it's narrative driven. So I'm not really like a huge fan of like comparing accolades because Andre Iguodala got a Finals MVP, and that's man, that was a disgrace. I don't know how. I don't know. I was for sure it was gonna be no. You know who I thought was? I thought he was gonna give it to LeBron. To be honest, I thought he was gonna give it to LeBron just because he didn't have anybody, but he was still going crazy in that series. But if it wasn't gonna be LeBron, definitely Curry.
Nah,
Like,
that was the LeBron fan in you that thought they were gonna give it to LeBron.
Yeah.
'Cause you know full
Definitely
well.
LeBron fan of me.
I thought they
But-
would give it to Curry, but
yeah, like stuff like that. Now and then Curry didn't win the Finals MVP. Now you got this debate about Curry legacy because of a trophy that don't really. He obviously was the best player on that team, the most valuable player on that team. But since he never won Finals MVP until 2022, now that puts him, in a different stratosphere or level. No, when I watch him, he was the best player in this series. Now, did he get better over the years, like as far as like his mental aspect of the game and physically? Yeah, he did. But a trophy doesn't, swing like either way. Like whether players good or not historically. So that's my thing on the. But I do think I agree with that. A playoff MVP that would be nice. So if y'all had to pick a playoff MVP so far, who would it be?
Jokic.
Come back to me on that.
Okay.
Come back to me on that one.
I think it would be Jokic right now. Just I would still say, and we talked about like the whole MVP conversation in the regular season. I think I would still give Shea. I'm not wavering on that. Shea is the MVP for the regular season, but for the playoffs, I think Jokic is the playoff MVP. At least at the moment, currently. We'll see how everything finishes up, but
Okay.
I read that he's leading like all players in like points, rebounds, assists, something crazy like that, right? In the entire playoffs.
Jokic ridiculous, bro.
I didn't know all that. So then, yes.
Yeah, like a huge Jokic dude like that, but like, yeah, you're doing this in the playoffs still, like in all these categories. Your team, like, they're like, you've been by far like the biggest factor in your team success. Like them being where they are, I don't think it's a question. You kind of got to give it to him.
I would say Jokic. Then I'll probably say Jalen Brunson, and then Jalen Brunson been doing this thing, especially in that Detroit series. He had a huge. I remember that game 4 with him and Tatum. They was kind of going back and forth. He had a great game 4. Hooping yesterday. So I'll probably go Jokic, Jalen Brunson, and right under Jalen Brunson, I would probably put Ant. Ant right there, but
who's nowhere close to it and is not even going to be in my top 10 on that list.
Who?
Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese Halliburton, man. Get out of here.
I know this dude.
Tyrese Halliburton, man.
Hey, hold on. You got to give before we get out of here. You got to give Hallie some flowers.
Yeah. He had that one game. I'll give him that. And he had that crazy
he had a
shot.
couple good games.
A couple games. Okay. All right. But we like what, like 12, 15 games into the playoffs right now, something like that.
Yeah, he been having some good games.
And he had like 2 or 3.
He had a game winner versus the Bucks to close them out. He had a game winner versus the Cavs.
Yeah, but what was his overall performances? Because he's been having a lot of tour date performances.
Okay, he had a really bad game 3 versus Cleveland. I would say that.
And Giannis is really
game 4. He didn't really have to do much. They destroyed. It was about 40 at halftime. So it's like
really. I'm calling them Siakam's Pacers. That's Pascal Siakam's Pacers.
I'm dead.
That's what we call them. We call them until for real. Who's their most consistent player?
Yeah,
is it Pascal? It's Pascal Siakam,
especially
right?
like defensively.
But he don't got the cachet or like he's not light skinned and curly hair like Tyrese Halliburton.
You can see Andrew not a fan of Tyrese Halliburton. Oh yeah, and he say he got his jumper is Aurelus.
What do you have against them?
I just think he's like extremely overrated. I mean, I'm not the only one that thinks he's overrated
Okay.
because apparently it seems
Yeah,
like,
that
the
poll
NBA
came
is.
out.
This was crazy. I
Mm.
always thought he was overrated, and Dustin knows I've been feeling like that for like over 2 years. You know, I felt he's overrated.
Yeah.
They
Okay.
had a poll this season, like I think like a month ago. After the season ended, they polled the NBA players, and the NBA players had as their most overrated players. I think their top
I
3.
did see that, and it was him.
It was Tyrese Halliburton, I think, was number 1 most overrated. I think number 2 was either Draymond Green or Trae Young. I can't remember. It was one of those 2.
Shit, probably
But
true.
it was but Tyrese Halliburton, and I think I can see why, because
Mhm.
it gets a lot of, and I understand, like, you know, if your team has some success, you're gonna credit, you know, the star or main guys on the team. But he, to me, gets way too much credit given some of his performances
Mhm.
or inconsistencies, because he has a lot of games where it's like, wait, what did Tyrese Halliburton do tonight?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you see, like, the Pacers will have like a, you know, a blowout win. Routinely, you'll see this too. Like, they'll have a big game, blowout win, and you'll be like, wait, where's Tyrese Halliburton? You'd be like, 9
2
points,
points.
7
Oh.
assists,
Mhm.
6 rebounds. You'd be like, okay, I mean, I guess. And
Yeah.
then you'll look at like guys like Andrew Nemhard will have a big game. You'll see a dude like Pascal Siakam who's consistently like either leading them in scoring or being their most efficient player
Mhm.
and just producing way more points. And you're like, okay, like, why is everybody talking about Halliburton? And, you know, I know he had some nice key shots or key buckets here and there, but he's not the one that's been carrying them to this point. It's not like it's all been on his shoulders like that.
Yeah.
And so, like, when you look at all these other guys, you're looking at stars that seem to have the bulk of the responsibilities and the bulk of the criticism, having to contribute, like guys like Ant who have to score a certain level consistently,
Mhm.
or their team's not going to win. Their team's not going to have, like, you know, they're going to lose. It's really,
Yeah.
it really falls on that. There's a certain threshold of like guys have to score, have to contribute a certain level to win. And Halliburton
It's not that.
is winning without doing that, and
Mhm.
isn't really being viewed like he needs to do that, right? And
Yeah.
it's not, I don't know, it's just like a separate level which is why I can't give him that credit. And that's what I'm talking about too. So, like, I don't know why you
I don't 100% disagree with you, but I do think ever since the All-Star break, really like this calendar year, he's been really hooping, dog. Like,
no, he started playing a lot better. But
yeah, like he was leading the league in assists from like I think like All-Star break to, you know, beginning of the playoffs, and he was doing it on like less than 2 turnovers a game. Like, he was getting like 11 assists, and he was still scoring at a high clip efficiently. Like, he started to look a little bit like that Tyrese Halliburton we saw at the beginning of the last year. Not as great,
yeah, because
but
the scoring was like at
scoring was
a
crazy.
higher level than
Yeah, because if he stayed consistently doing that, boy, he'd be on. Yeah, but yeah, no, I think you need to give him a little slack. Give him his flower because he been doing his thing.
Like-
and this roster he plays with, like, I think Pascal Siakam was a perfect running mate with him because he loved playing in transition. Tyrese loved running. Andrew Nembhard has been developing. I remember he freaking hit a game win on the Lakers. I still don't like Andrew
that's
Nembhard.
kind of where he really started to like come out of, like, he wasn't really unknown really around that time, right? I
Yeah,
think
but
when he hit that,
he played in the Olympics too. He was pretty good playing with Canada. So, I mean, that's another player. He went to the Olympics. He played under Dylan Brooks, Dort, SGA, with the Canadian team, even though they didn't really win anything. But, you know, that's just how some of these players end up growing
Yeah.
when they get around, you know, superior talent and vets around them. So, yeah. All right, so we're probably gonna shut this episode down.
a
Couple minutes.
Did you see
But,
the Aaron Gordon news?
Yeah, I was about to mention that.
What happened?
He has a bad hamstring, left or right hamstring, and he's doubtful for tomorrow.
Oh.
They
Yeah,
don't have him. I think it's Raps.
Oh yeah, because he
Yeah.
did this. I remember he hurt himself vaccine.
so I want to get y'all's predictions. I know we talked
Yeah.
about who we want to win, but who do y'all think will win tomorrow? What this is?
Yeah, it's
Oh yeah, strained
He's
hamstring.
doubtful.
Mm.
Yeah, that hamstring. That's nothing to play about.
I mean, if he doesn't play, I think it's over because I think he's been their second best player by far.
Yeah, this whole playoff run,
it's not even a question to me.
he been clutch. Dog,
Like most people, if they're not really paying attention, they'll be like, "Oh, it's Jamal Murray," because Jamal Murray has those big performances. Like he's had big scoring games, but consistently, I feel like Gordon's been good almost every single game that he's played.
Yeah,
and he's had like clutch moments, like huge threes.
That dunk versus the Clippers.
The dunk, which you know how I feel. I still think that dunk was late. I looked at so many. I was like, because I'm a James Harden fan, so I root for Harden even though he's not on the Rockets anymore. And so I was watching that series closely, and I was like, when I watched it, I had to rewind it like 10 or 20 times, and I was like, "There's no way, man. There's no way he got that off in time." And then I paused it and I sent Destin like 3 or 4 images. His fingers are on the ball.
But the ball is like, so this is my thing.
The ball was in the basket.
Yes, no. I looked at the rules though. So even if the ball is in the basket, your fingers cannot be touching the ball still, right? The ball has
on a dunk,
even on a dunk, the ball has to be out of your hands, right? So if the ball now, of course, once the ball clears the hoop, it's a made bucket, right?
Yeah.
But it hadn't cleared the hoop. His fingers was on the ball. His fingers cannot be on the ball touching it while the red light's on. And they did it when they did the replay. Okay, I'm stop. When they did the replay, they literally just go and they do like the slow-mo of it, and then they pause when the light's off and the ball's out of his hands. But if you go freeze frame, and go take the replay, go back to the point right before the light turns on, and just go unfreeze, unfreeze. Yes, and then pause it. You could find the light on with his fingers.
I feel like they pick and choose which replays they want to go. Because I remember in the Lakers, when the Lakers and Timberwolves series, they found this angle, this skybox.
I've never seen
LeBron fouled.
Yes.
I've never seen that angle.
Here's the crazy thing: is when I was watching it too, I was watching it live at the same time you were watching it. All the other angles, I didn't see that. I didn't see LeBron touch him. Right, I thought LeBron hit the.
Where did they find that from? Did they have a drone?
I was like, oh yeah, LeBron hit all ball, and then they showed the replay. I was like, oh no, LeBron fouled him right on his wrist. Clear.
Yeah, I don't know where they got those angles from.
Man, I was like, okay, well, just find the angle everywhere else. I want to see this angle on every game, every clutch game I see going forward. But so with that news, so I assume we all got OKC then.
Yeah, I mean, if he unless he plays, but we don't know how limited he's going to be.
But I mean, assuming. Man, I guess it's bad to assume, but a hamstring, even playing on a hamstring, like
it usually makes you. We've seen dudes play on hamstrings before, and they usually like significantly hampers.
Yeah,
especially him being a athletic player. The hamstring. What? Oh, somebody calling me. He rely on his athleticism a lot. I think
and it sucks because I'm kind of upset at that because he's impressed me this playoffs. I didn't know he was this good. I've known he's
improved significantly,
bro. I've never seen him this good.
Yeah,
like
his jump shot improved,
and he's doing things like I've always known he's like a highlight player and he's a good defender, and you know he has a crazy above the rim capability, but like some of his just like he's a really smart player. Like that's one of the things like he's shown me like a lot that I just didn't know that he had in his game when it comes to Gordon. Like I could see him being a future like all-star at some point, possibly. I would not be surprised. So yeah, if he could keep this up, because the shooting to me, I thought was fake. I was like, there was a couple games in that first round series against the Clippers. I was like,
well, if you look at it, he's been shooting at a high clip all season. He wasn't shooting a lot of threes a game, but his shooting percentage was.
But I still felt like that's why I felt it was fake because. Like, look at the Clippers, right? We had what is it? Derek Jones, and Chris Dunn. They've had moments where like their shooting has been efficient shooting. But these are guys you want to leave wide open, let them shoot because it's fake and they're gonna start missing. And when they start missing, you're gonna start losing. It's gonna pay. It's gonna start. It's gonna cost you. Yeah. So like they're what we call fake shooters or whatever. But he hasn't been. He's been legit this whole playoff run. And so that's
With
a
all
big
that being
loss.
said, I'm taking J-Dub. You better prove me
Take it
right.
OKC.
I think J-Dub, because you've been terrible this series.
He has been, man.
You've been terrible this. I need you to have a good game.
Wait, which one is J-Dub?
On Jalen Williams.
Jalen Williams for the Thunder.
I know, but which
Yeah.
one? Which
That's
one
the
is
one
it?
to
He got the
California.
braids. No,
Yeah.
no.
He like the wing
The one with
guard.
the braids.
Yeah,
Who's in the
Yeah.
commercial?
yeah, that's J-Dub.
Okay.
Um,
And another one is Jay Will.
J Will, yeah.
with
But
the
yeah,
hair.
That's Jalen
he's
Williams
supposed to
right
be
here.
like their second. Yeah,
Yes,
J-Dub.
that's
Mm.
and he
He's
goes
supposed to be
by
their
J
second,
Dub.
third best player.
Okay.
But
Yeah, like you see those
Terrible this
season. You see those season averages they have right there
Mhm.
on the bottom. He ain't nowhere close to this. He is nowhere.
he's
Not
still
in the
doing his thing,
stratosphere of those
like
numbers.
defensively, but
Yeah, defensively he's still good, and he's hit some. He hit a few big shots. I want to say in the,
yeah, he had a big shot in game
Game five?
5. Yeah,
Yeah.
a 3.
um,
Remember that he hit one from the corner.
Lou Dort. Oh my gosh, Lou Dort was huge.
He had like
in
3
that game.
threes in the fourth quarter. And
in the row. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that was a Lou Dort game right there.
yeah, he
That's
saved
literally-
them.
that saved them because they were gonna lose that game because Jokic was having a
Remember that
masterclass.
shot Jokic hit?
Bro.
That gave me
That is
PTSD.
That is the most ridiculous shot I've ever seen him make, and I've seen him make some stupid shots. Like
was
that
like-
just looked dumb.
I forgot what commentator that was. He was like, "Oh man, that gave me PTSD." Jokic hit all that bullshit versus the Lakers from years ago. Made me so mad. But yeah, I gotta get ready for work. But I really appreciate you, Taylor, pulling up today. This is a fun
I didn't feel to be
episode.
here the whole time, but then here I
Yeah.
am.
Hold up. Let me. I found that ridiculous shot. Let me see if I can play
Okay,
it.
yeah. Let's see that.
Let's see that. This is insane.
What shot?
Jokic.
By 3.
When Jokic hit.
Jokic. 7 to shoot. His team
It's
is
bullshit.
Like, ain't no way he
pirouette.
Oh,
Yeah.
It up. Oh!
He's so good at that. That's just what he does.
We
Like,
are
what is
tied
this?
at 103.
It's fake.
It's AI.
Right.
That's AI.
Yeah, it's fake. But yeah. And they still lost that game. And he had like what 44, 15 and like 10.
Yeah. He was unbelievable.
Yeah. But Shade, I wish Shade's best game in the playoffs. That was
I
definitely
thought
his
he was pretty good last game.
Mhm.
But I think because he made so many clutch buckets.
Yeah, he was making clutch buckets. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
because
was.
Jokic is doing that, and then he came back and I think he had like a and
He
one
hit a
mid
three.
range. He
He
had
hit
a
a
tough three.
Uh-huh.
He had a it was. Yeah, I think that was his best game. Like overall, just the crunch time performance type thing.
Mhm.
I think the NBA is very dramatic. They're gonna announce who the MVP is right before this series. I mean, right before Game 7. I feel like they're gonna announce
Right? You think they're gonna do it?
Shake some
I
stuff
think-
up.
it. Yeah, that'd be tough.
Mhm.
If they give, I think SJ gonna win it. If they do it before, like I predict, Jokic might go crazy. Jokic might go crazy, and I don't know if he really cares about that stuff, but he might.
Mhm. You never know
Right, just because.
with him.
Yeah, you never know him. I just know he cold.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he just need that motivation. He's go out there do his thing, and then after he hoop, he gonna ride his horses. But that's a wrap for this episode. We're gonna be back hopefully next week. We got me and Drew schedules got our line. We're gonna conversate. Hopefully sometime maybe later. We could get Taylor back on. This is a very fun episode. I
I
appreciate
love
you
to do
again
that.
coming on.
Hope we win.
So yeah. Timberwolves win, we definitely gonna get you on.
Yes.
Definitely, absolutely. We got to. Well, that's wrap for this episode. Make sure y'all follow us on at Double Dribble Pod on IG and on YouTube at what's our name on YouTube? The Double Dribble Podcast.
Yeah, so the podcast.
All right. Like y'all, make sure y'all like the video. We out.
Yeah.